You're listening to Seek Travel Ride, a podcast all about sharing inspirational bike adventures from all over the world. And before we get into today's episode, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Red White Apparel. They've spent over a decade doing one thing, and that is making bib shorts which will keep you comfortable in the saddle no matter how far or how long you ride, even on those multi-day tours. As someone who's tried going chamois-free, I can tell you I need reliable bib shorts, and these are the best ones I've found lately. If you're looking for comfort which lasts, hit the link in the show notes and check them out. Alright, now on to the episode. Hello everybody, it's Bella Malloy here, host of Seek Travel Ride, and welcome to another midweek mini episode where I aim to keep you inspired for all things bike travel. This week we're going to hear from Bobby Redding, and he has just embarked on a Land's End to John O'Groats charity ride, and the purpose behind his ride is really moving. I came across this from Bobby just last week and was so moved by it, I asked him to send me through some audio so I could feature him on the show. Bobby recently lost 3 grandparents within the space of a few weeks, and I can't actually fathom the type of grief that would hit when that does occur. Bobby wanted to find a way to challenge himself during this time of grief and also commemorate the memories of his 3 lovely grandparents. So he has chosen a charity ride, and he's decided he will take on the Land's End to John O'Groats route, and he's doing it on a folding bike, and he's going to be wild camping the whole way. Now, this isn't the first time that Bobby's done a long-distance ride, but it is certainly the first time he's done it on a bicycle. That's right. Bobby's previous adventures have involved a motorbike, so it will be interesting to see how he goes now on a bike that is human-powered and a folding bike, no less. The charity which Bobby has chosen to fundraise for is Care Rights UK. It's a charity that is near and dear to his and his family's hearts right now in this time of grief. So, listeners, I'm going to play Bobby's audio for you now. It's going to give you a bigger insight into what he's been dealing with, what his family's been dealing with, and what is up ahead for him. And I've also put a link to his charity fundraising page in the podcast show notes as well. Let's hear from Bobby.
Hi Bella, my name is Bobby, and I'm going to cycle the length of the UK for Care Rights UK. From Land's End in Cornwall to John O'Groats at the northern tip of Scotland, and I'll be wild camping instead of shelling out for accommodation. This is all on a folding bike as well, something which everyone tells me is a terrible idea, particularly when you've got a bad knee and you're not exactly used to bikepacking or wild camping or anything like that. The reason why I'm doing it is because my family lost 3 grandparents within 2 weeks around late June, both granddads on the same day. It's just been a really, really tough couple of months, and I just want to try and have some good come out of this. Try and have something positive, try and do something which makes everyone, me, my family included, have a little bit of pride in something else. It's obviously in honour of our grandparents. You know, they're great people. When you think about when someone has lost their grandparent, depending on how much time they've spent with them and how much they grew up living with them. Some people might say that losing a grandparent happens to everyone. Some people would say that it can affect you a lot more if you lose a parent, for example. But it's just the close proximity of these 3 grandparents being lost so quickly together, and 2 granddads on literally the same day. It's heartbreaking. And it takes a toll. You know, you're mourning not for 1 person, not 2 people, but 3 people. And it's not easy for everyone. Everyone at the moment seems, they're relatively down all the time, not too happy, not too smiley, which is quite a rare occurrence for my family, as people that know them would attest. And it's not just the fact that my grandparents have, died. There's a lot of other things that have been happening as well. My mum broke her arm 2 or 3 days before my nan died, before all of this happened, and she's currently still not really in a good way. She has the humerus bone. Thankfully, that looks like it's, been stitching together quite well, finally. But she's got an infection under it, and it's just tough it's a bit of a road ahead for her getting back to full health. Our remaining nan's partner is also in hospital at this moment, and he doesn't look good. So yeah, there's just a lot going on, and I'm hoping that this bike ride can just be something that we can look at, and it's for all my family. It's not just for me. It's not just for me to process my grief. It's for everyone to sort of, I don't know, it's hard to explain exactly what I'm trying to say, really. It's just something good, something powerful, a bit of effort, a bit of pride in something which isn't all about depression, death, and the horrible things that have been happening. And then just to give you a rundown on the charity Care Rights UK is your care champion. It's the charity focused on promoting the rights of older people in care, to know their rights and how to use them. Offer information, advice and support to empower people using care services and their relatives and friends. Fight for better lives for people in care. Challenge poor care, highlight good practice and demand a better system. So yeah, it's a charity that's very pertinent to what's been going on in my family's lives in recent times. It's just been a real struggle to work out what we have access to, what we have the right to ask for in care, what's even possible. It's been a real strain. My grandparents, they lived in Bexhill, which is a fair way away from London, so it's difficult to care for them or to be there for them every day. So it's trying to work out what is and isn't possible. It's just, you just have no idea unless you've been in the situation before, and most people haven't. So yeah, a charity that gives you this advice and will advise you on the best course of action or what to say to the NHS representatives is invaluable. In terms of choosing to do this ride, my grandparents dying was kind of the final catalyst that pushed me to do this ride, but I'd already been thinking about doing it. I did motorcycling. I took a bike and went motorbiking across Vietnam and Indonesia. I did the whole from South to North Vietnam in about 6 weeks, and Indonesia all across Flores, Sulawesi and Sumatra as well. And I absolutely loved it. You're just focused on what you're doing. You're focused on not crashing into that chicken or the stray dog, or you're watching out for that lethal pile of gravel on that curve that's ready to send you into the jungle hundreds of meters below. Or you're trying to work out how to navigate the latest enormous mudslide. You're really honed in on what you're doing. So it leaves little room for thinking, which is good when you're in a situation where in a time in your life when you don't necessarily want to think too much, such as right now. And even when you do think about things and what's going on in your life, you've got the space and the freedom to actually unpack it. No distractions, just you and nature. And I think the bike is going to be similar and actually a little bit of a natural progression after the travelling that I've been doing over the past 3 years. Going on a motorbike is it's pretty hard. It's not great on your tush, but it's, you're not putting a massive amount of physical effort into it. And you're also going a lot faster. So you reach where you need to reach. You invariably are going to reach where you need to reach, and you're less worried about a lot of things, really. Whereas cycling on the push bike is a lot more of a challenge. It's a lot tougher physically, and I just think it's a bit of a natural progression to move on to this as a challenge after the motorbiking and the travelling that I've done so far. That's not to say, I'm still going to bring a book with me. I don't want to risk losing it completely mentally. It's also just something to focus on. Obviously, I said that you're in the motorbike and you're not thinking too much, and when you think, you've got the space to do it, but this is a proper project. You need to plan for it. You need to decide your route. You have to decide what you're going to bring with you, what equipment you're bringing. It's just something different, a personal project, instead of just focusing on the bad stuff that's happening. And I think it's going to be good for me personally to be able to just work out a lot of things. Not just really what's been happening with my grandparents and everything like that, just in general. I went travelling for 3 years, basically blew up my life to do it. I had a good job, I was renting a nice flat, and just saved up the money and went on a long trip. But a lot of people go on these trips and they come back and they're ready to take on their old life, and they're good to go. They've experienced this wonderful, wonderful different cultures, friendly people, saw amazing things. but I haven't really had the same experience. I came back in December last year, 2024. I was trying to work out what I'm going to do next. And to be honest, it was really the whole travel experience. I was just asking myself, even while I was doing it, why am I doing it? What am I trying to get out of it? And I've constantly been struggling to find the answer. I actually think maybe the book I'm going to write about my experiences may be based on that, maybe based on the question of why travel. We'll see. I keep flitting across different ideas for the book. But yeah, I haven't been in a great frame of mind since I've been back. The thought of going back to the normal 9 to 5. By the way, for everyone who's listened to this, who's never done travelling or anything like that, you're probably thinking, it's embarrassing to think like this. It's, just get on with it. Like, that's life. You have to work and all that. But I've found it a real struggle to even contemplate the thought of going back to a 9 to 5. Just to essentially earn money you're earning money for you in your salary, but you're basically a cog in a wheel that earns money for some person at the top. I'm just not really interested in doing that anymore. The problem is not doing that leaves a vacuum, a financial vacuum, and, a what am I going to do with my life vacuum, both of which I'm really struggling to work out how to fill. So, yeah, depression's played a big part in wanting to do this, and I've always liked to challenge myself. This is probably the first thing that I've decided to do that I'm not 100% sure that I can finish. I went on a couple of training rides. I just went for a ride on the bike on the London Loop, actually, which is more for hiking, which I found out. And I only did, less than 45 kilometres, 42, 43, something like that. And I found it incredibly difficult. After the first training ride, I got back to my parents' house. My legs were just, there was like an ache within them that just wouldn't abate. If I sat down, the pain would still be there. It was crazy. Yeah, it was a real, quite intense pain. And then the thought, comes into your head that I've got to do double that distance, even more, if I want to finish it in any sort of, less than a month. So yeah, a little bit worried that I'm not totally physically ready to do the challenge, but that's fine. That's what a challenge is. It's not a challenge really if you know you can do it. So I'm looking forward to it. In terms of why I'm doing it in the UK as well, I've been travelling quite a lot. In the last 3 years, I've done a lot of Southeast Asia. I did a good chunk of South America. And yeah, I just realised that I really haven't seen a lot of the UK. I grew up in London. I've mostly lived in London with a stint in Canterbury. And I've got this sneaky suspicion that I actually have no idea what my country's like. I've travelled a little bit in a car and did some hikes in different places. I've been to Scotland already. I've been around the country, but not in this way with the bike, slow, being able to talk to people that you're on the way. Very rarely have I stopped in remote places. So yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. And the UK is really expensive. There's not really any other way that I can see myself at this current time being able to travel through for any length of time if I was paying for hotels and hostels or whatever. So wild camping, it seems like the only sort of way I can do it feasibly. And in general, I often complain, being from London, that there's not much nature. And I am starting to realise, once I've got this bike, that there's a lot of amazing parks in London. The parks are proper amazing. And there's some decent nature around where my parents are living now in North London. But for cycling, it's not brilliant. It's not easy. It's a little bit stressful, or can be. And after travelling and doing everything I've done, I've realised that, I always thought that I was what they call a city boy, but I'm slowly realising that's not really the case. I really do value nature, and I'm dying to get back into it and do something where I can be a little bit immersed. I don't know too much about the nature in the UK, and it's a lot of green hills, rolling hills, and a few mountains up in Scotland. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it and going through it slowly. I'm dying to get back into nature. I'm dying to see what the UK is really about. London is a massive bubble. The opinions you encounter there are not necessarily what you encounter elsewhere. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what it's like elsewhere, how people think, just what these places are like. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm also really looking forward to just to being by myself on the bike, just being somewhere and being alone and looking around me, and there's no one in sight, and there's nothing in sight other than trees and fields and nature. I know what that feels like after having done the motorbiking, and I can't wait to do it again. Yeah, I'm just dying for it. I'm pensive about, obviously, the physical nature of the challenge. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to finish it. I like to think I'm the type of person who will just push myself until finishing it, until I physically really cannot do anything else. But I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope I just enjoy it and I'm able to do a good, 100 to 150 kilometres a day. That's the plan. But we'll see. I think the hills will have something to say about that. It's a struggle on my 7-gear folding bike. And then just all the general stuff. I've never done a bikepacking trip, cycling-wise. I've never really done that either. Little bits while travelling, but not solo. Getting food, getting water, finding the right camping spot. I haven't got a clue about any of that, so we'll see how that goes. But I've got high hopes. We'll see how it goes. I really appreciate you being able to fit me into the podcast. I love the podcast, and yeah, I'm just really pleased to be able to jump on and talk about what I'm doing. But yeah, I think it's going to be... I'm really looking forward to it, and we'll see how it goes.
Thank you so much, Bobby, for sharing all about your challenge there. Listeners, Bobby took off yesterday, the 11th of August, and I have included links in the show notes to his Instagram channel as well as his charity fundraiser so that you can watch along with his progress. And Bobby, I really hope that this challenge is able to do all those things that you said for yourself, to give you space, to give your family something to focus on that's a little bit positive, and help you through your own grieving process as well. And I hope it also helps give you better insight into your own country and the beautiful natural spaces that you will be riding through. There's nothing like cycling slowly through a landscape to watch the transformation take place as you pedal through all those kilometres, go through all the different counties, and feel the undulations of the terrain around you as well. I'll also be really interested to see how you get on with the wild camping. Like you said, it's a very expensive way to get around the country if you're staying in hotels, so I can totally understand why you've chosen to wild camp. And I hope that everything goes well for you and your achy knees as you make your way there through the UK. I'm sure that it's going to be a lot different to the motorbike trip that you took through Southeast Asia. But I feel the purpose that you're taking this on will give you the energy to keep turning those pedals as well. Listeners, if you're planning a multi-day tour, don't underestimate how important good bib shorts are. Trust me, I've done big days in the saddle, I've done the back-to-backs, and comfort really, really matters. I ride in red white apparel because they just work. The chamois holds up day after day, and their P-brake friendly design makes life on the road so much more convenient. Hit the link in the show notes and check them out for your next big ride. Now, back to the episode. Okay, listeners, I wanted to give you a dot watching update from the Transcontinental race. Been listening to the midweek mini episodes here, that you will know that I have been following Dots the last couple of weeks. Good friend of mine, Stevie Tisson, is cap number 29, and she's putting on a phenomenal effort. She's now in Albania. She's finished one of the final parcours and now just has the finish to get to there in Romania. It's a monumental effort, and my mind is blown by the idea, everybody, that it was just over a week ago that I saw Stevie here in my backyard in France on the Tourmalet, and I can't believe that she's in Albania now. It's monumental. Something else that's monumental is a few days ago I had the pleasure to dot watch again, and this time I went out on the road to meet Tom and Gav. They were the first tandem to take on the Transcontinental race, and I saw them on the day that they were about to take on the climb of the Col de Tourmalet. Funnily enough, I saw them loitering outside a boulangerie, and then I excitedly waved them down, said, hello, this is me. I've been following your dot. Let me get some more of your story. And they were really magnanimous with their time. and allowed me to record a little audio from them and get a little interview on the roadside. So I'm going to play that now. Just be aware that this is roadside audio, so it's not what you're accustomed to on the show. This was just recorded on my phone, and we have a little bit of noise there from the traffic on the roads. But I really wanted to share it with you because I think their story is a powerful one. So let's listen to that now. Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. Coming to you on a beautiful, pretty sunny Thursday in the town of Pierrefitte, and I'm with two absolute mega legends, Tom and
Gavin.
What are you guys doing at the moment?
So we are in the process of with the first ever tandem to attempt the Transcontinental bike race. I'm visually impaired, so they've let us in for accessibility reasons. Tom Butcher, amazing guy, proposed it to me. He said he'd be the pilot and he would try, guide us across Europe, it's been what we've been doing for the last 10 days.
I want to know, to sign up to the TCR takes a lot of effort and training. Has your life been fully focused on TCR for like the last 6 months since you've known you've been able to get in?
Yeah, so it was kind of by chance actually. I was down in London in December when the group announcement of the TCR was happening, and a friend cancelled dinner plans and I had nothing else to do, and I saw that the route announced it. I was like, oh cool, I'll go along just for the buzz and the hype of being there when they announced the TCR route. With another friend of mine, I sat there and I was like, this sounds really awesome. I messaged Gavin and I was like, any chance of Bancy trying to do the TCR on a tandem? And obviously he said yeah. But from that point on, we then had to kind of switch. So we'd never ridden tandem together before. We didn't own a tandem.
So you aren't like a tandem pilot stoker team from long back? Like,
absolutely not.
Oh!
Absolutely not. We bought the tandem. It was £500 on eBay. It was 20 years old. And then we had it kind of picked up a little bit from our local bike shop.
Put a nice big massive climbing cassette on the back as well?
Yeah. Like it's on the back.
Thank God. Oh, you need it, guys. And I bet you still do the little ghost shift of mercy, don't you? Where you're out of gears, but you still go, come on, give me one.
That's been one of the things. You just get used to all the gear changes and everything that you do on your own bike ordinarily, obviously, is not possible here. And they've done an amazing job of getting us a bike. It has stood the test this far, It's been really good.
It's been mega, and it's not without its challenges. Where you are in the course, you've had, excuse my language, everyone, Aussie coming on board here. You've had a shit ton of climbing.
Over 20,000 metres of climbing.
And you've got the Tourmalet coming up now.
Yeah.
I just accosted them outside the Boulangerie. So they're prepped well. And by the way, there's a Boulangerie at the base of the climb and one about 7 kilometres into it.
Oh, good to know.
Stop it, both.
Good to know.
Local intel. And there's a great bar up at the top where it'll sell you some nice things as well. But it's a beautiful day for the Tourmalet.
I think it's remembering as well, this is an amazing ride to be part of, and these are amazing ride. To climb the Tourmalet in itself is epic, right?
Oh, it is.
There, you've got to enjoy it. You've got to dig in when necessary. And we're getting better all the time. It's hard work.
It's a massive emotional roller coaster. I've got an amazing friend, Stevie, who podcast listeners you'll know because I featured her twice on the show. And I met her on the Tourmalet a few days ago and cheered her on. And she's been sending me voice notes at the end of every day.
Amazing.
And it was 2 days ago she sent me one and she was totally broken, describing what it was like going over the parkour at the Asieta in the dark, in the freezing cold, on a descent that you can't ride on a road bike tyre. And then I kid you not, within about an hour and a half, another voice message coming through and she's like flying on cloud 9. So with a tandem, have you managed to always have it that one's up and one's down so you can lift each other up? Has that been a benefit as well?
Yeah, I think, it's definitely a team effort and there's no escaping it. With this, you have to hold each other up. Physically, emotionally, everything. Because I think as soon as there would be any discrepancy there, it starts to fall apart. And so I think we've been amazing. I think we've worked really well together. But the emotions do ebb and flow. And there's an element where I think we're honest with each other at certain times.
You have to be.
When we're on the bike, we're like, okay, we just dig in, we keep going.
Yeah. And do you have a strategy? Is it just... Because I was saying before we press record, even shifting in the saddle on a tandem's just not really an option. Do you have a strategy of how far you go before you stop, you stretch, or is one side got to stretch, I got to stop, one need to eat?
Yeah.
Have you synchronised your toilet breaks?
That's all synced up.
On flat ground, cruise pretty well. On the climbs, I find my back hurts quite a lot. The amount of work it takes me to keep the control of the front of the bikes at slower speeds keeping it balanced is quite hard. So something which I've not experienced on my road bike. So yeah, when we were climbing Abyss yesterday, we stopped a couple of times, didn't we, on the way up? It's maybe every 300 meters of climbing or so, stopped, kind of stretch the back out a little bit and just relieve the pressure. And then
it's a different type of climbing. I've never ridden a tandem before. The only thing that I can equate it to was a couple of years ago, I did the Raid Pyrenees with my husband, fully loaded. So panniers, front racks, front forks stuff. I think the bike was about 35 kilos. And what I realised, because I'm like you, I need to stand every now and then when I climb. And I generally do every few hundred metres I'll stand and just to shift. But you can't when the bike's loaded. And it's just... knowing these climbs, because I live here, I know what I normally do. And then with panniers, it was like, oh, this is like total next level. This is totally different. But you go into a different mindset as well, which helps you, don't you?
You have to. And it's interesting you talk about the training as well. I mean, we've discussed so much. How do you actually prepare for the TCR? The kilometrage or the mileage that people are doing is phenomenal on a daily basis, the lack of sleep. But from our perspective, it's also like you need to be fully loaded all the time. You need to be on the tandem. There's so much you have to do to get up to a level to be able to navigate the road and the listening course. Never mind some of the parkours where people have been taking on the gravel sections.
Oh my gosh, I'm just thinking of the gravel sections on the tandem.
Yeah. That was a key moment because we avoided the gravel section, but even the other way was still a long
slog.
Yeah. There's been nothing easy. The Tourmalet descent is going to be easy.
And you know what? You've got a clear day. There's not going to be fog. You're not going to... because the Tourmalet is one of those climbs, like all the mountains, and actually Abyss more so. Abyss more often than not can be enshrouded in cloud and fog there. But it's a beautiful climb. I had my emotional moment when I rode across the Pyrenees. It was getting near the top. That's the point where I cried because I think it was the first hard climb that I had done, like all category of climb I'd done loaded like that.
Yeah.
And it was like, I can't believe I've just done this. And I don't know whether you are having those moments. Like, are you having moments like that, the emotions? Because the Tourmalet's a mega historic climb. Doing it on a beautiful sunny day.
Yeah.
You're going to get so many people cheering you on, regardless of knowing about the TCR. Even just general Frenchies in their cars will be like, woo, woo, woo.
There's been quite a lot of sport in that way, and it's lovely because it does keep you going. And I think in the TCR, getting to checkpoints, so you have to map out certain milestones, don't you?
Oh.
When you get to a point where the mileage is gone, you're just sticking at it as long as you can, then you start to find other little things to spur you on, and certainly, going up the Tourmalet and any support you get. But when we got to the top yesterday, I think we both looked at each other and were like, that was good.
Oh my God.
Just did then.
I just got goosebumps because it's reminding me of how I did that with my husband.
It's overwhelming, that body, isn't it? It's like,
it is.
Oh, wow.
It is. And you've done hard stuff before this.
Yeah.
And hard moments in times.
Yeah.
But you'll have those moments. The thing that I love is you'll both now have those shared experiences.
Yes.
You can randomly just message each other, in the future. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Or you'll go, this was grim, but it wasn't as hard as that bloody parkour. Yeah. Oh, God.
Kind of do it already. We're kind of trying to reflect back on that ridiculous 26 hours of no sleep and 365k to get to control point 1. And we'll be like, do you remember this? And we'll be like, wait, was that day?
To the point where you don't know what day of the week it is yet.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah, that happened quite quick.
Oh, gosh. Well, you're both legends. I'm speechless. I feel so honoured and privileged to have been able to share a few minutes with you here on the road and cheer you on. Listeners, I've accosted them on the side of the road at a boulangerie, unable to actually gift them a pastry because that would be against the TCR rules, but they have agreed to a full interview. So we're going to get into the real nuts and bolts of this story. I'm wishing you, as the French would say, courage, bon chance, allez, allez, allez. The Tourmalet awaits, magic memories are being made, and you've got so much to look forward to ahead of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Lovely.
There you go, listeners. I hope that you were able to make your way through that very raw audio file, but what a monumental effort by Gavin and Tom. I can report that they made it to the very top of the Tourmalet a few hours after that recording and descended down safely. They got themselves to the town of Tarbes and both decided that that would be the end of their TCR journey. They were absolutely spent. But what a monumental effort. I'm still blown away by the fact that they hadn't actually ridden a tandem bike before this event. And they bought one off eBay, a nice 20-year-old bike, got their local bike store to get it ready for the TCR, and took on a monumental journey. I feel like that's what these events are about, and really it's what bike adventures are about too, isn't it? I've said it many times before. I think success is getting to the start line. The rest is an unknown. That's where the adventure lies. And I'm looking forward to getting an interview with Tom and Gavin and hearing more about their incredible journey. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Now, listeners, a couple of weeks ago, I shared with you during a midweek episode what my experience was like spectating roadside for the Tour de France. I was lucky enough to get myself roadside for 2 mountain stages of the tour this year, and it really is just such a carnival atmosphere. I took some time shooting some videos on both of those days, and I have finally put them together and released it on the Seek Travel Ride YouTube channel. So if you want to see the visuals behind that journey, click the link in the show notes to see the video, or otherwise head to YouTube and find our channel there. It is Seek Travel Ride, and you'll get to witness what it was like for me roadside for the Tour de France. Okay, now it's time for my favourite part of the show, where I get to shout out you, my super fans, who've been absolutely magnanimous and bought me some virtual coffees. These coffees come in each and every week, and they really filled my heart with joy. This week I'm thanking Sebastian P, and he said, "Your pod has been a favourite for a couple of years now. Thanks." And also, "Has Eleanor Mosman ever been on your radar?" Well, firstly, thank you, Sebastian. You're an absolute legend for tuning into the pod and for supporting the show. I wasn't aware of Eleanor Mosman before you sent through this message, so I can say that she's on my radar now. So let's see whether I can get a podcast interview with her to share her bike adventures as well. And then also want to say a big thank you to Deepak. Deepak, you also bought me a coffee. You didn't leave me a message, but thank you for supporting me and the podcast. And listeners, if you want to do as Sebastian P and Deepak have done and support Seek Travel Ride, you can head to buymeacoffee.com/Seek Travel Ride. Buy me some virtual coffees. More importantly, tell me what it is that you love about the podcast and where your next bike adventure is going to take you. And until the next episode, I'm Bella Malloy. Thanks for listening. All right, that's it for today's episode. And if you're still listening, it probably means that you care about doing long rides and taking bike adventures, which means that you will also care about doing them in comfort. So here's my pitch. Red White Apparel. I wear them, I love them, they're comfy, they're smartly designed. For women, they're pee-break friendly. Need I say more? Support them because they support this podcast. Click the link in the show notes and check them out for yourself.